Some souls enter sacred places to find peace. Others bring the storm with them.
Who's in there? You shouldn't have come.
Curiosity can awaken things best left buried.
Evil spirit, reveal yourself!
I am already home!
Mr. Midnight.
In the shadowed heart of Eldergrove, a small town nestled among ancient oaks and whispering winds, stood the Sacred Heart Cathedral. More than a place of worship, it was a sanctuary where young women, having forsaken the temptations of the world, trained to become nuns in service to God and humanity. These women, bound by vows of sacrifice, spent years within the cathedral's stone walls, learning the sacred duties of the Sacred Heart Sisterhood before being sent to serve in churches across the region. It was the last Saturday of March, and the air was thick with the scent of incense as evening prayers echoed through the cathedral's vaulted halls. Mother Eleanor, the stern yet compassionate head of the convent, stood before the gathered trainees, her voice steady but warm. "Sisters, tonight we welcome a new soul among us. This is Abigail, a child chosen by the Lord. Like each of you, her life is not meant for fleeting pleasures, but for devotion to His divine path." Abigail stood at the edge of the group, her face pale as moonlight, her eyes downcast, shadowed by a deep, unspoken sorrow. Her presence was unsettling, like a storm cloud lingering over a calm sea. She didn't meet anyone's gaze, nor did her lips curve into even the faintest smile. As Mother Eleanor's introduction ended, Abigail turned silently and drifted toward her room, her footsteps barely audible on the cold stone floor. "She's strange, isn't she?" whispered Sophie, a curious young trainee, to her roommate Clara as they returned to their shared quarters. "It's like she doesn't want to be here. There's something in her eyes, haunted almost. I can feel it." Clara frowned, adjusting her habit. "Hush, Sophie. If Mother Eleanor hears you, you'll be scrubbing floors for a week. If something's wrong with Abigail, she'll speak when she's ready. Don't go stirring trouble."
But Sophie couldn't shake the image of Abigail's hollow gaze, those sunken eyes that seemed to carry a secret too heavy for one soul to bear. The next morning, during the dawn prayers, Sophie noticed Abigail standing at the back of the chapel, her lips moving in a rhythm that didn't match the sacred chants. The words were low, guttural, almost inhuman, as if spoken by someone or something else. Sophie's heart quickened. She edged closer, straining to hear. Abigail's voice was a jarring mix of tones, like a man's growl layered with a child's whimper, muttering words in a language Sophie couldn't place. A shiver crawled down her spine, raising the hairs on her neck. Who is she? Sophie thought. She's educated, beautiful, someone who could have had the world. Why is she here, hiding from it? That night, unable to quell her curiosity, Sophie crept through the darkened corridors after curfew. The cathedral was silent, save for the distant howl of the wind outside. She reached Abigail's window, her breath fogging in the chilly air, and peered inside. What she saw stopped her heart. Abigail sat on a wooden chair, her body twisted into an unnatural shape, limbs bent at impossible angles as if a cruel hand had molded her like clay. Her head hung to one side, neck twisted, her face obscured by a tangle of dark hair. It was as if she were no longer human, but a broken marionette. Suddenly, Abigail's head snapped toward the window. Her face was a nightmare. Deep, black hollows where her eyes should have been, hair splayed wildly across her face, and teeth so dark they looked like they'd been dipped in tar. A scream tore from Sophie's throat as she stumbled backward, collapsing onto the frost-covered grass. Her cry pierced the night, drawing Mother Eleanor and the other trainees. "Sophie, what are you doing out here?" Mother Eleanor demanded, her voice sharp with concern as she saw Sophie trembling on the ground. Sophie pointed a shaking finger toward Abigail's room. Mother Eleanor approached the window, her cross clutched tightly, and gasped. "Merciful God! What is this?"
"Stay back," she ordered the others, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. She gripped her cross and stepped toward Abigail's door, chanting a prayer under her breath. Inside, Abigail leapt from the chair, landing on all fours like a feral creature. Her eyes glinted with malice, and a low growl rumbled from her throat as she glared at Mother Eleanor. Undeterred, the Mother Superior advanced, holding the cross aloft. But in a moment of distraction, the cross slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor. In that instant, Abigail's eyes turned pitch black. Her fingers twisted backward with a sickening crack, and she lunged. Her teeth sank into Mother Eleanor's arm, tearing through flesh with savage force. Blood dripped onto the stone floor as Mother Eleanor cried out in pain. Father Thomas, the cathedral's priest, arrived just in time, his face pale with horror. He dragged Mother Eleanor to safety as Abigail, momentarily still, stood in the center of the room, blood staining her lips. Seizing the moment, Father Thomas locked the door, trapping Abigail inside. The convent was gripped by fear, the air heavy with whispered prayers and stifled sobs. Father Thomas, his hands trembling, pressed the cross to his forehead and began to pray. "This is no human affliction. This is the work of something unholy." The next morning, as dawn painted the sky in hues of gold and gray, Father Thomas gathered the nuns outside Abigail's room. "Pray with me," he urged, his voice firm. "We must drive this darkness out." Holding a vial of holy water, he entered the room. The nuns' chants rose in unison, a wall of sacred sound. Abigail cowered in a corner, her body trembling, hands pressed against her ears as if the prayers were fire in her mind. Her face contorted, shifting between rage and fear. Suddenly, she let out a blood-curdling scream and collapsed, her body limp. Father Thomas sprinkled holy water, and where it touched her skin, angry red blisters formed, as if her flesh had been seared by acid. When Abigail awoke, she was frail. Her once vibrant beauty faded. Her eyes were dull, her body slumped, as if the life had been drained from her. Mother Eleanor, her arm bandaged, gently laid her on the bed. "Rest, child. The holy water will cleanse you." For 2 days, Abigail lay silent, refusing food or water, her breathing shallow, her face a mask of exhaustion. On the 3rd day, she whispered for water, her voice barely audible. Mother Eleanor, relieved, brought her a glass, and Abigail drank slowly, her hands trembling. As she regained strength, Mother Eleanor offered her food. Abigail nodded, and for the first time in days, she ate, ravenously, tearing into the bread and soup with a ferocity that unnerved the room. Her face smeared with food, her eyes glinted with an unnatural light, and she began muttering again, this time in a cacophony of languages, some ancient, some unknown. "How does she know these tongues?" Sophie whispered to Clara. "Mother Eleanor said she grew up in an orphanage. Did they teach her this? And the way she ate, it was like a beast, not a woman." Mother Eleanor and Father Thomas exchanged grave looks. "This is beyond us," Mother Eleanor admitted. "We must wait for Father Benedict. He arrives Friday. He's dealt with such darkness before." On Friday night, under a moonless sky, Father Benedict, a seasoned exorcist with eyes that had seen too much, arrived at the cathedral. After the convent had fallen silent, he began the ritual.
Abigail was bound to a chair in the center of a circle of crosses and flickering candles, the air thick with the scent of wax and holy water. Father Benedict's voice boomed with ancient Latin prayers, each word a weapon against the unseen. Abigail's eyes turned black, a sinister smile curling her lips. She spoke in a chorus of voices, a child's giggle, a man's growl, a woman's wail, shifting between languages no one could name. As the prayers grew louder, Abigail's rage erupted. She screamed, and the candles extinguished in a gust of unseen wind. The floor beneath her cracked, a jagged line splitting the stone between her and the crosses. Her screams became unbearable, piercing the hearts of all who heard. Suddenly, Mother Eleanor's eyes darkened, and she cried out, "Stop! I'll tell you everything!" Her voice trembling, Mother Eleanor confessed a horrific truth. A year ago, Abigail never dreamed of becoming a nun. She was a joyful young woman who sang at Elder Grove's Holy Grace Church every Sunday, her voice a gift that captivated all. Father Daniel, a young priest, fell in love with her, his heart betraying the vows he'd sworn to God. Their secret romance bloomed in stolen moments, but when Abigail revealed she was 4 months pregnant, Father Daniel's world crumbled. A priest could never acknowledge a child without shattering his reputation and the church's sanctity. Desperate, Father Daniel turned to Mother Eleanor for help. She promised to protect him, but at a terrible cost. On a stormy night, as thunder roared and lightning split the sky, Abigail went into premature labor. Only 3 were present at Holy Grace Church: Father Daniel, Abigail, and Nurse Margaret, summoned by Mother Eleanor. To conceal the scandal, they tricked Abigail into taking drugs to induce early labor. At 2 a.m., the baby was born, but Abigail was told it had died. In truth, Mother Eleanor and Nurse Margaret buried the living child in the church's graveyard, believing the secret would be buried with it. But Abigail's grief became a gaping wound. Night after night, she wandered the graveyard, screaming for her lost child, her cries echoing through the tombstones. Her despair opened a door to dark forces, and an evil spirit, perhaps her child's restless soul, seeking vengeance, took hold of her body. Father Benedict intensified the exorcism, his voice unwavering as he splashed holy water and chanted with fervor. Abigail screamed, twisting her arm until the bone snapped with a sickening crunch. "Call Daniel!" she roared in a voice not her own. Father Daniel was summoned, his face ashen as he entered the room. Seeing him, Abigail laughed, a chilling, guttural sound that echoed through the cathedral. "Forgive me, Abigail," he stammered, tears streaming down his face. "Don't be afraid. Father Benedict will free you."
As the exorcism reached its climax, Abigail's head tilted upward, and suddenly, Mother Eleanor and Father Daniel were lifted into the air as if pulled by invisible strings. The extinguished candles flared to life, and 2 flew toward them, igniting their robes in a blaze of fire. Abigail muttered, "One Father, one punishment." No one could reach them as the flames consumed them, their screams mingling with the crackle of fire. The vial of holy water slipped from Father Benedict's hands, shattering on the floor, and Abigail's head slumped, her body still. Mother Eleanor and Father Daniel perished in the flames. Abigail, barely alive, was rushed to a hospital. After days of care, she recovered, though her spirit was forever scarred. The Sacred Heart and Holy Grace cathedrals were closed, their halls left to gather dust. For Abigail and Father Benedict, the events became a haunting memory, a nightmare that lingered in the quiet moments of the night, a reminder of the cost of secrets and the power of vengeance.